G'day friends, welcome to today's Page in 10 video. My name is James, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today we're going to draw these little characters that I was drawing for my collage club the collage club sheets for August 2021. They're a little bit inspired by Luca, the Disney Pixar film. They're kind of fish-faced little fairy princesses. So I'm going to take you through how to draw them today. Hopefully it doesn't take us longer than 10 minutes. We'll see how much we can actually get done, but I'm going to break it down step for step, step by step for you, is what I meant to say. Let's start our timer and see what we get up to. Set timer for 10 minutes. Okay, here we go. I've got a pencil. I'm mostly only going to use pencil probably, maybe an eraser, maybe a pen. The first thing I'm going to do is sketch out a big head. It can be any shape actually. This kind of works if it's pretty wonky. Down the bottom of the head, almost like right at the bottom, you're going to choose a chin area somewhere. It doesn't really matter where it is, but just above that, just like a tiny step above it, we're going to draw a little rainbow shape. And then we're going to softly curve the edges to make a pretty flat edge at the bottom. And then right in the middle of that shape, we're going to draw just a tiny little oval with a line right through it. Kind of makes these little fish lips. And there's supposed to be two little teeth in there, that's why we put the line in there. Just above that, I'm going to add a really soft curved nose. And I'm just adding the shadow of the nose, not actually any of the details. The point here is to keep the chin pretty close to the mouth and the nose pretty close to the mouth as well. So everything happens really low down in the face. Now we're going to move straight across to the side of the nose and the mouth. And on this side, I'm going to draw it pretty big. I'm going to skew my proportions a little bit. You can keep this more even if you want to. I'm going to draw this big oval shape. And then on the other side, I'm going to draw a bit smaller of an oval shape. This kind of makes it look like it's a little 3/4 turned. It's just an oval on its side, or like an egg sitting on its side. We want that pretty much in line with the nose and the mouth. So you're going to have all of this forehead space up here. That's what we want. Right next to the eyes, I'm going to add, well, if I do it on this side first, can you see I'm drawing the letter C? I'm slightly winging it out up the top because I like that kind of winged look for these ears. And then I'm flipping that on the other side. Again, this right side is going to be a little bit bigger than the left, just to make it look like it's slightly turned. Inside the eyes, I'm going to draw, it would be like if I actually drew a large oval, but you were only going to see these two side walls of the oval. So we're not actually going to see the top and bottom. So maybe you want to think of it as brackets that you would use in writing. And then I'm going to fill that in, leaving a really tiny little white spot open in the top right hand corner of both of those eyes. You can even draw it in if you want to, or you can color the whole thing and just erase a little spot. I just like to keep a catch light in there to make it look a little bit cuter. If you want to darken up the top edge of that eye, I just run some scribbles with a bit more pressure over the top of that top edge, and then flick out a few little lashes just in the corner. I actually keep these lashes kind of downturned and just in the corner. And that's the face. For these characters, I like to have really tiny little bangs, so I'm going to add this kind of smile shape up the top of the head here, really tiny, it's almost close to the top, and then put a little M on top of that for a little break. I like to break the hair, otherwise it just kind of looks a little flat. I'm going to run a few little lines just on the side of the head. I don't want to go too far out, I just mostly want to run over that line that I've already drawn. It'll look like the hair is kind of flatter to the head. I also like to put these little wispy curls on these characters. I don't know why. I just really like the movie Luca. These is just what happened when I was watching it. I'm gonna add maybe a little pigtails. So if I do these little loops, I think that'll be cute. And I'm just gonna have them sticking straight up in the air. 3 loops that just taper back down to a point on the head. You can add a cute little bow if you want. I think that's good. I'm just going to lightly scribble in some eyebrows, just a tiny little rainbow shape of scribbles up in all of that extra forehead space. I like to keep them just soft arches, almost the same arch as the top of the eye, just to keep them pretty neutral. And now we're going to add the body. We're going to give her the tiniest little neck, just 2 little train track sticks, just wherever you want to underneath. It can be all the way over the side. It looks kind of fun if it's wonky. But underneath those train tracks, I'm going to do a really wide, slightly rounded triangle. There we go. Now on the side of each of that triangle, and I love this dress shape, I'm going to add 2 extra little wings to that. So they're also the same rounded triangle shape. So you can see we've got 3 of them. We've got this big one in the center, then we've got these 2 little wing shapes off to the side. In this space up here between the neck and these ones, we're going to add 2 more of those, just a little bit smaller. These are the sleeves. On the bottom edge of these sleeve ones, I actually like to just color those in a little bit darker because that'll show the inside of the sleeve. And then we can run 2 lines that meet together in the middle of that big triangle, little train tracks that curve together, put a little oval at the bottom, and then her hands are clasped together. And that's her whole little body. The only thing you have left to do is the legs. I like to keep them pretty long and thin and slightly bowed in together. Put little ovals kind of facing each other at the bottom to have her standing kind of pigeon-toed. They don't have to make any anatomical sense. It's a pretty whimsical illustration, so it can be whatever. Then just slightly scribble at the bottom, just to make it look like she's standing on the ground. You don't have to, you could actually just bend her legs and it would look like she's flying or kind of leaping off the ground, but I like to have them standing if they're just randomly in my journal somewhere. And we have about 3 minutes left, so we can add maybe some shading to that. If you have a little tortillon, a little blending stump, I'm going to show you where I would add some shading. The first thing I would do, because we've already got the graphite on the page, but this is also a little dirty. You could do this with your finger if you wanted to, or you could just grab a pencil and just shade it in. I would add a bit of shading just to the perimeter of the face, so all around the edge of the face, underneath the bangs a little bit. This just dimensionalizes her head, makes it look a little bit more spherical. Put a little bit of shading inside those ears, and then I will just shade the outside of the eye and the inside of the eye, just on the top. I'm going to leave a section open in the middle. You'll see it starts to give it this eyelid sort of dimension. It's what we'd call a halo eye in makeup. I'll smudge the actual pupil a little bit on the lips. Usually the top lip is darker than the bottom lip, so I might just be a little bit more reserved on the bottom lip. Possibly a cheek. You've got to be careful because if you're doing the shading, it could look like you've hollowed out her cheeks, so I do a really light touch on the cheek. And then just in these little creases of the dress, just to pop out that kind of dimension of the dress. Just add a bit of shading there. And I might just softly blend out this ground as well. You can watercolor over the top of this because it's done in pencil. It'll have a nice bunch of shadowing underneath your watercolor if the watercolor is pretty transparent. I don't know, do I have time to do that? Oh, I've got 1 minute and 50 seconds. Quick, get out the watercolors. Let's just put a bit of color on here. I have this beautiful new Wildest Ride set by Lost Girl Watercolor. I have to get a water brush. Do I have one? I probably don't have one that's full of water. Oh goodness, maybe I won't get to maybe I won't get to doing that because I don't think I have a water brush. That'll serve me right, not to be prepared. No, I don't think I will get to watercoloring it in. In any case, you could do that. You could absolutely put a light wash of watercolor over the top and it would look really pretty. So, oh, the only other things I would add, some freckles. Just above the nose and under the eyes. If you really want to make it look like Luca, the little Luca girls that I did, I put these little W shapes facing the head and put these little fins. I put them on their ears, I put them on their hands. and their ankles. And of course you could keep going with your little curly cues all around the head. The more you do, the more kind of messy and wild she'll look, which is nice. I like that look. You can add back in any scribbling you feel like got blended away with that paper stump. If anything, I'll give a bit of shading underneath the neck, a little bit in the eye, possibly around the little catch light, just make that a bit darker to pop that out. And remember, if you've done it in pencil, there's no reason you can't go back in. Ooh, that's loud. There's no reason you can't go back in with an eraser and just erase out little bits that are either a little messy, or if you went a little too overboard with the blending, you can erase some of that because it's just graphite. It should pick up really easily. And there is my little Luca-inspired fish girl. Clever naming, right? That's all for a page in 10 today. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Have a go with it. I actually just change up a few things each time I do it. I keep the face and I keep the dress in the kind of the pose similar. I usually change the legs and the hair. That's about it. If you look in my collage club, you should see the only things I really bothered to change were the legs and the hair. Every time you approach it, if you let yourself be loose enough, you should just get varying results, just for the pure fact that each time you draw that head freehand, it'll be a little bit different. Each time you do the eyes, they'll be a little bit different. And I think all of those really subtle differences is a nice way to build out kind of a set of drawings that have a lot in common, but are different enough. You really don't have to change everything to make them look different. Sometimes it's just the hair, or sometimes it's just the outfit. You can really diversify your little character designs. So that's it for today. Hopefully you had a great time. Don't forget to use the hashtag #APageIn10, and we'd love to see your work on social media. Until the next one, bye.